Welcome back, YouTube fam. I am back to review another episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, episode 3. Mary finally tells us her story. Let's get into it. Okay, so they open up the episode where we have Whitney. She is with one of her friends, and they're meeting at like this antique store called Prohibition. And in the back of the store, they have like this lounge area in the back there. So that's where she is going to be hosting a party. She's hosting, it's called like a little 1920s party, little vibe or whatever. So that's something that Whitney's working on. Next, we go to, we have Heather. She's meeting with one of her business partners, and they're having a baby shower for her employees. She has like 5 or 6 employees who are pregnant. They're beautiful, they're pregnant, all with baby boys. So it's like, whew, okay. So anyways, she's hosting a nice little baby shower for them. So it's pretty nice and sweet. She bought these little, the little toy, like the little kid baby Range Rovers for all the girls or whatever. And so then we have Jen. Jen, she shows up. Okay. It is cold. It is freezing. It is snowing. And once again, Jen shows up in strappy heels. I'm like, how many times is she going to be wearing these strappy heels in the freezing snow in the cold? I mean, is she serious? Is she for real? Anyway, so Jen shows up over at Heather's house to, you know, just help her get all the baby shower gifts together, and then they discuss what they're going to be doing for the party. So at Heather's house, like as the ladies are getting the gifts together, they're looking at like old baby pictures and everything. So then Heather, it just brings up like all these feelings about, you know, her children, they were babies, and then she starts getting into her divorce, and basically she just kind of starts, you know, crying, talking about how she feels like she's a bad person, I guess just with the whole Mormon religion background, having gotten divorced and everything. And yeah, she basically just still feels bad about the whole situation. She just, you know, was upset that her husband, basically she felt like, you know, he didn't try harder or try to stick it out with her. She admits that she wasn't like really deeply in love with him, but she was just married. She was committed to being married. So it was just a big deal to her. Jen was, you know, basically trying to convince her, you're still a good person. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, I guess she's still trying to deal with that, you know, with herself, which, you know, you do have to deal with those emotions when you go through something major like that. But Jen did kind of give like a good speech as far as like female empowerment, because she's like, you have daughters, and she's like, you don't want to just put that out there that you just stay in something even if you're not really in love or invested in it or being treated right, or, you know, how you feel like you should be treated. So she would just let her know, you know, if that was the right thing that you need to do for that situation, then it's okay, and that's good that, you know, you are letting your daughters see that, because she's saying, you know, I guess you don't want to let them just see this false perception, you know, thinking like this is what you should be doing in marriage when it's really not. So, you know, that was an interesting little conversation that they had at Heather's house, her and Jen. So next we go to Meredith's house. Meredith, she's spending time with her kids. Of course, you know, we find out her and her husband are separated, so he's not there. And we have Jen come over and visit. And so Jen, you know, she basically states that since her husband does work a lot and travel, that she does feel lonely, her boys being older. She's saying she kind of feels like I guess her and Meredith are kind of the same position. And so she visits Meredith. You know, they're having fun, chit-chatting. And then she was saying she wanted to have a summer party after Whitney's, you know, 1920s party that's coming up. And she's like, cool, that's fine, we can do that. So then Jen, I don't know what happens, but they have a conversation, and she's just like, yeah, we're going to kick our legs up. She puts her legs up on the couch, kicking them up in the air. And Meredith's son, Brooks, he was appalled. He was like, what is she doing? Why she got her legs up in the air in her couch? It wasn't a good look, and Brooks, he was not here for it. Meredith, she didn't seem bothered. She was just laughing, cackling, giggling, like, okay. So then we go to Lisa's house. She's with her children, and it looks like her oldest son, he's starting to learn how to drive, so she's going to take him out driving. So then, in her confessional, she talks and she says, like, it seems like your kids are like renters, like they're with you for 18 years and then they leave. And I'm like, huh? They don't pay no rent? So I don't know what she's talking about, but she was so funny. They was driving, and then they got to the gas station, and then she was like, she put in this order for a Diet Coke. She was like, no ice, to the top, make it cold, Diet Coke. I was like, okay. She was funny. Okay, so then we have, you know, Mary and Meredith. They meet up and they go to dinner that evening, okay? And so they're just sitting down talking. How are you? How's everything going? Great. And so then Mary was like, well, you know, everything's not so great because of my son. She has a 17-year-old son. She said that he's the love of her life. And, you know, they're kind of coming to a time now where basically he has a girlfriend. So he's not wanting to spend 24/7, you know, time with her. Of course, you know, we all know how it is, mothers, sons, and how it is, children, they grow up. So then, you know, her and Meredith are talking, and they're just kind of like, yeah, you know, when you're married for a long time, people just need to keep it real. Everything's not perfect. You're not always great in a relationship. They're giggling, they're cackling over that. And Meredith's like, yeah, exactly, of course, you know. So then Meredith's like, you know, things do change like that over the years. And Mary's like, yeah, we're like partners now. And Meredith goes, what do you mean? Like, you know, it's a friendship. And Mary goes, no, it's a partnership. So then Meredith's like, well, do you feel like if you were saying you were going to leave, would he change? Would he treat you different? Things of that nature. And then Mary's like, well, no. She's like, you know, leaving isn't an option. And then she goes in to explain, she's like, you know, basically my marriage was arranged. And so, you know, she's saying leaving is, you know, not any type of option that she has. Okay. So now Mary, she really, you know, she starts again to really explaining her situation. She's really, I guess, trying to open up to us. So she basically said that she calls her situation beauty and all her mess. She said basically that her grandma, you know, she married her grandmother's second husband, which we all know now, her step grandfather. And she said that's what her grandmother wanted her to do. And when she did that, she did inherit homes, church, and money. She said, basically, she admitted it's a weird situation. And she was like, she was 22 when it happened. I was like, wow, she actually admitted that it's crazy. So she talks about how it basically, you know, tore their family apart. She said it wrecked her relationship with her mother. She said that her mother wanted her husband and the church. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know how true that is, that her mom really wanted to marry her mother's husband, which would have been her stepfather. I just really cannot believe that. But anyways, that's what she's saying. And she's saying, yeah, it was weird. They asked the question off camera. They were like, did y'all have sex on your honeymoon? And she was like, no. She was like, we didn't have sex. It was weeks. It was weeks before we had sex. Right. So she was like, it was weird. She had to get herself together for a while. Then she said eventually she had to pray and detox and pray to her higher self. What? Anyway, she said she had to get herself together and pray so that she could finally be with her husband. Okay. And so she says that, well, grandma did a good job and it turned out to be all right. All right. So then Meredith was like, well, I want to come visit church. I want to come see. And then Mary's like, great. Yeah, I definitely want y'all to come. You know, Whitney and her father's coming, so you come too. So Meredith decides she's going to visit the church also. So back with Meredith, I thought it was actually interesting. We have little Brooks. Brooks is speaking up, honey. So Brooks, he lets us know basically that he did take off the semester. He did come home to be with his mom, with his mom and dad separating. He said he decided to come home to be with his mom. You could tell they're close. You could tell they're buddies. You know, they're each other's rocks. That is pretty obvious. And he says he's like working on a fashion line too. So it was funny. He was getting his mom together because he was like, Miss Jen, you know, this Jen character. He was like, she can't be coming back up in here. And Meredith was like, well, she's, you know, wanting to have a summer party. She wanted to come back over this weekend. He was like, no. He was like, she can't come in here. So he was like, you need to call her. You need to let her know that she can't come back up in here. And Meredith was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm going to call her. And she was like, what am I gonna tell her? And she was like, you go tell her that you're gonna be here with your kids and you were spending time with us and she can't come over. I was like, go ahead, Brooks, because he does not play by his mama, obviously. So it was kind of cute. I kind of like seeing the little mother-son love there. So now we go back to Mary's house. Her and her husband, they up here, they fussing over the stove or something. She's like, you don't know how to turn the stove on right or whatever. What you mean? Okay, I got the man coming. She's like, what you got the man coming for? It was just silly. I was like, okay. So he's basically in the kitchen cooking and doing everything. I didn't see Mary do nothing. He served her up food, drinks, whatever she likes. I was like, okay. He called her Miss Mary. He was like, okay, yeah, whatever you say. What you want? Yes, Miss Mary. Yes, Miss Mary. That's how he was talking. I was like, okay. It was no boo, no honey, sweetheart, babe. I don't know. It was Miss Mary. Okay. So anyways, they're talking about their son. They were saying that basically she's not feeling a relationship with his girlfriend. She wants him to go to a better school. So she calls him in and she's like, you know, I want you to go to this boarding school in LA. I think it'll be a better opportunity for you. Meanwhile, her son, I mean, the whole time, he is looking at her like she is crazy. Like, he is really... he's looking at her like she is crazy the whole time. And he was like, no. Basically, he was like, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to leave my girlfriend. This is not what I want to do. And so then Mary's like, well, I mean, we're going to have to come to a decision. You're going to have to go to a different school or something, right? And then he's like, he kind of like meets in the middle, like, okay, sure, I guess we'll check out other schools. But, you know, basically he's letting her know, you're not taking me away from my girl. All right, so next we go to Mary's church for her church service. Whitney and her father arrived and Meredith's already there. So they sit down and join the service. Mary, she comes down the aisle, greeting everybody. I don't know what she's doing. Anyways, they have a full house, full congregation. She's preaching, praying, doing it all. And, you know, she thanks her friends for coming. In the end, she prays for them, you know, everything. The Lord can use anybody he want to use, but I tell you, I can't through her. I just can't. So they were happy. They enjoyed the service. They did the hallelujah, the amens, and we saw First Lady in just full action. I did not see the bishop. I don't know where the bishop was that evening. I don't know if that wasn't his service night or what they do. Normally you see the bishop with the First Lady or whoever's preaching, you see him, but he wasn't in the pulpit or nothing. So I don't know where bishop was. It was First Lady's night to bring it. So yeah, that's where we ended with that. Next we have Jen. You know, she's getting ready for her squad, which she says they're like her family basically. She's getting ready, and so she's with them. And then we have Heather's baby shower for her employees. It was a cute little setup. She's got, you know, for the employees. And, you know, it had her thinking about mother. Her children are older, but it had her thinking about motherhood and maybe that she should, you know, change the way she thinks and feels about things or whatever as far as like what's happened in her past. So then the girls, they finally talk. And then you have like Whitney, Heather, and Jen come together. And basically Jen... she just goes off on them because the fact that, you know, they're still friends with Mary. And she wasn't so mad at Whitney for going to the church because she was like, well, I understand you trying to support your father. But Meredith, she was really mad about Meredith going to Mary's church. And she was basically saying, like, y'all need to choose sides. They were saying, like, you know, we're trying to be cordial, friends with everybody. But Jen was like, no, you know, there's a clear major issue between me and Mary. You need to choose sides and decide who you're going to be with, who you're going to stick with. And so it kind of ended with her just kind of letting them know how she felt. And she felt like if they're true friends, they need to pick a side. Go. Okay, so finally we get to the 1920s party. I mean, they are dressed up, they're in the outfits. Whitney, all she knows is the 1920s lingo. That's all she's talking. It was funny the whole night. And so everybody shows up. Now, there's some characters. Okay, for one, you have Meredith. Now, she came looking like 1960s, 1970s. I don't know what was going on. She had the bell bottoms. Like, okay. Then Mary showed up. I'm like, First Lady, Pastor, why are you there? Okay. Next, Jen comes in. Honey, Jen, she comes in. She got a dress with a train. And I mean, she have her assistant. Like she is a bride walking down the aisle. He is, every step she make, he's fluffing up and roughing up that train. So I said, okay, she knows how to make an entrance. So she just got that train and she's going through the whole party like that. So then, you know, basically Jen, she sees Meredith and Mary. She's mad. Like she's like, okay, I'm done with both of them. Like she's not having it at all. And in this party, it's a 1920s party. Now, Whitney, the talent, you know the drinks is flowing, and then the talent. The talent for the party is strippers. I'm not sure what they had to do in 1920s. I don't know. But Whitney, basically, that's how she go throw her parties. That's the fun she gonna have. She gonna have some drinks and some strippers. That's how she roll. So that concludes. That's my recap. That's my review of episode 3. Like I said, I was glad to see Pastor First Lady Mary. She gonna give us her story. I mean, she kept it real that it was odd, but I guess she said she just being her and living in her truth. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I can't believe it, but y'all tell me what y'all think. Make sure you're subscribed, like, and comment. And you know, I'll see you again next week. Bye.